Hey, this is former WWE superstar and ECW original, The Blue Meanie. And you're watching the Tell Us About Yourself show on Foxworthy 257. Now, if you're looking to watch a show about people who play the Super Show wrestling card and dice game, I highly recommend it. The Blue Meanie told you! The Blue Meanie sent you to watch Foxworthy 257, or else I'll come get you.
My name is Brian Pillman Jr., and you are watching Tell Us About Yourself, only on Foxworthy 257 Twitch channel.
Hi guys, I'm Session Martina, and you are watching Tell Us About Yourself on Foxworthy 257 on Twitch. I'm going to get some cans. Are you going to get cans and watch with me?
All right, folks, we are live with Tell Us About Yourself with my guest host, as always, well, not as always, but as very often, the SRG mom, Christy Overby, and our guest for this week, the true survivor, Anthony Medvez.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
Going good. Drinking some diet Turkey Hill iced tea, the best iced tea.
Yeah,
There's no better iced tea.
I'm sure TJ's worried that a pickle might show up, so he's probably skipping this one.
No, there's no pickle showing up today. I was actually with TJ on Saturday.
Oh.
I was doing merch for him at his wrestling event.
Yeah.
His wrestling event that he didn't even wrestle at.
Yeah, and Christy's disappearing slightly.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Glasses hit the floor.
Yeah. Bobada telling you to stay hydrated. Ken Fouché subscribing again. Thank you for the subscription, Ken. And so we're going to start with Evil Ed's questions because he already has them in the chat queued up. Cheese or pickle?
Cheese or pickle?
Yeah, Evil Ed, the cheesehead, would like to know, do you prefer cheese or pickle?
It depends on the context. If I'm just eating it alone, probably a pickle. If it's on a burger, cheese. Together, probably not, unless it's on a burger.
Fair.
What about a milkshake?
Milkshake? I would definitely eat a pickle milkshake. Hands down.
A cheese milkshake, though, seems a little...
too much dairy.
A little dairy heavy.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I might become lactose intolerant if I ever drink that.
All right, and his next question is fox or sheep?
Fox or a sheep?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like sheep for wood in Catan? Like,
probably it's more of the two sheep variety.
Go with fox.
Finally, one person. We can end the show now. We finally got one person to choose a fox over a sheep. All right, and Evie Fresh coming in with a stay hydrated as well. All right, so while we start,
someone says stay hydrated, I'll drink some more.
Yeah. We should probably start with a question of after you chug a bit, so you can think about it. How did you get started in the game?
So I got started in the game at Gen Con 2015. And I was just browsing. I wasn't even so Super Show back then didn't have their own booth. They set up camp in the open table section and did it pure DIY. And I was browsing the whole convention hall, and then my friend Phil runs up to me. He's like, dude, you have to check out this game. It's a wrestling card game. It's amazing. AJ Styles is in it. And I was like, okay, you sold me. AJ Styles is in it. We go there. I'm like, hey, how much is everything? And like, oh, well, and I was talking to Calais at first. And he's like, well, this is this much, this is this much. And I'll never forget it because I asked him, well, I really want the AJ Styles competitor. How much is AJ Styles? He's like, well, AJ Styles is $25 because it cost us more to get him into the game. I'm like, oh, wow, $25 for 4 cards? That's a bit pricey. Fast forward to 2021. But
Right.
So the first competitor I ever bought, like solo competitor I ever bought for Super Show was AJ Styles. Then I just bought like a few starter decks. And then that same day, they were doing a tournament to see who the heavyweight champion of Gen Con would be. And do you know who won that tournament?
Was it Press 1B?
Not me. Not me. It was my ex-girlfriend at the time.
Oh.
who I think she beat King Pink in the final. I don't remember. It's been 6 years, but I'm pretty sure she beat King Pink.
Oh wow! This is when you need. Unfortunately, I was insulting Bobata in the chat, or he'd probably remember, because he's like the historian of that stuff.
It was a very, very long time ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 6 years ago was. Whew.
Yeah, like I vaguely remember anything,
So,
but then
I was at that Gen Con. I just never noticed Super Show.
Yep, they literally just had a table in the open play area. Literally, like far side of the open play area, way past like where Magic usually is.
Okay. Oh, but even Bombada doesn't know. It has been lost to the annals of time.
Yeah, like that was before there was any like actual competitive scene for the game. Like it was when they were just starting. So
okay. Wow. So you're almost a day one adopter then, almost.
Mm-hmm.
So would you consider yourself more of a wrestling fan or more of a gaming fan?
I would have to put that literally 50-50. So I've been playing, so gaming wise, I started playing card games. I would say back in 1999, roughly. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. Like I've been playing Magic for at least 20 years. Then I used to be a huge fan of wrestling back during Attitude Era, because I started with Attitude Era, then I found ECW, and I was like, well, to hell with Attitude Era. This is better, because I was more about wrestling being as real as possible rather than the whole WWE. Like ECW was just more real to me, so started watching that. Then I dove into like deathmatch wrestling, and everyone gives me shit for how much I love deathmatch wrestling, but it's my mission to make it a thing in Super Show one day. Hopefully that happens.
So are you thumbs up, thumbs down on Nick Gage?
Nick Gage, MDK, all
fucking day. All fucking day, baby.
Oh yeah, I forgot I can curse.
Yeah.
yeah. Nick Gage is, as a wrestler, he's actually a really, really good wrestler, although he does do deathmatch stuff. But as a person, Nick Gage is hands down one of the nicest people I've ever met in wrestling.
I love him.
Nick Gage is one of the nicest. Schlack is also one of my favorite people in general, not even just wrestling. Just in just like hanging out with Schlack at like metal shows in New Jersey is the most fun you'll ever have in your life. It seems like all the deathmatch guys are a lot nicer than the people that don't do it. So there might be something there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, Nick Gage normally comes to Sammy's shows in Dayton, which is, an hour and 15 from Columbus. So we'll go there a lot.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I go to GCW shows all the time. So GCW, H2O, and ICW all basically operate in New Jersey, and they're the three biggest deathmatch companies in the United States right now, next to like No Peace Underground, which is out in Florida. But yeah, every month there's a huge H2O show. I'm usually at every single one. I missed the last one, unfortunately. GCW just started doing shows monthly again. Mm-hmm. Usually GCW is right in in Asbury Park, which is where I live now. So once a month, I can literally walk to where their shows are.
Of course, I think that GCW is June 5th in Atlantic City this year.
It is, and unfortunately, we'll be missing it because I bad booking 101.
So, speaking of wrestling, and Italian Bobata has a question for you from the chat. Why do you hate TJP?
Here we go. It all stems to that Faithful Impact show. I hate TJP's gimmick. I hated TJ Perkins' gimmick. Mm-hmm. The whole 8-bit, I'm a nerd video game. So, and then they made him I couldn't stand what WWE did with him.
They did
then
something
when
with
he
him?
went out on his own, and then he started tag teaming with Falaba, which is fun because like if anyone was at that Impact show, they know I went to high school with Fallah Bahh. We were in the same class. I've known him since I was 13. And I don't hate him as a person. I just hate his whole gimmick. I just think it's corny. But I think a lot of things in wrestling are very, very corny. So
I mean, he left a very good cameo for a member of the community too. I can't remember who, but it was a really good cameo.
yeah,
Wow,
I'm sure he did. Like I'm sure he's a great guy. I just like the corniness in wrestling needs to stop. And of course, I'm looking at the chat and Twitch, and of course, Bambata puts Francis in big bold caps because, of course, I had to break kayfabe at an Impact show and just yell Fallah Bahh's real name, which is Francis, which is kind of embarrassing because he's a huge guy and his name is Francis.
I mean, hey, it has to happen sometime.
You can't go over with a name like Francis in wrestling. Like if you're like Anthony Bowens, you can just keep your real name, which is actually Anthony Bowens.
So, Young Allergy pointing out that TJP rode the dab wave when no one else did. So.
Correction, he did not ride the dab wave when no one else did. Cam Newton invented the dab wave. TJ Perkins just adopted it and made it look bad.
Well, to be fair, Cam Newton's not exactly doing it in professional wrestling, though.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's he meant more specifically for professional wrestling. TJP was doing the dab, and no one else was. Probably because the dab is kind of stupid.
Could be worse. No,
it definitely. Yeah, it definitely could be. It could be worse. Hello, Candy Man. How you doing? Even though I think I annoyed her today, with giving congrats to the biggest face in the LFF Big Match Beat. All right, Bambata, Pabst or White Claw?
Neither. I don't drink anymore. Yeah. But
historically
honestly,
speaking,
if I had to choose, it would. Honestly, hold on. What flavor of White Claw? It matters.
Yeah, what flavor of White Claw, Bambata? You can't just do a no flavored White Claw. I actually quit drinking before I ever had a White Claw. So Pabst on the other hand, never by choice. Mango.
I'd have to go with the PBR then. I wasn't the biggest fan of the mango White Claw. Grapefruit was the best one. Cherry was good, and then everything went downhill after that.
All right. So Candy Mam's coming in with her first question, her standard question. Which do you prefer, Candy Mam or Candy Man Dan?
Based on my interaction with both of them in Ohio, I'm gonna have to say Candy Mam. Mainly because I don't like confusing people, and I honestly cannot tell the difference between Candyman Dan and Kurt Polka at all.
Well, Candyman Dan's the one I think won WrestleMania, and Polka was the one that didn't. It's something like that.
You might. Honestly, who knows?
Who knows? She also would like to know your favorite movie and what other country would you live in?
My favorite movie of all time is American Beauty.
Okay.
And I don't want to live in any other country.
All right.
I'm a very, very big fan of America. Even though I do have dual citizenship in Italy, but I would never live in Italy.
I mean, it's Italy. I've never been there, so like
I have been there. I love Italy, but I just couldn't live there.
They just have a lot of old buildings, and I'm not really big into old stuff. Like, why do I want to see a sports arena that's like crumbling? Like, if I want to see,
but you live in
that was the bet.
You live in Philly. You live in like a historical city.
Yeah, unfortunately. Like, but we got rid of the vet when it started crumbling. Like,
yeah,
you know,
did the smart thing.
and that was more historic than the Coliseum. No, more people were imprisoned in the Veteran Stadium's basement than ever in the Coliseum.
Actual fact, because Philly sports teams are a disaster, and every stadium you have has its own prison in it.
I believe the Link doesn't actually have a prison in it, but
Lincoln Financial does.
I thought they didn't put one in this one, but
no, they have it there. I know for a fact it's there. Haven't been there, but
maybe it's they don't have the judge on duty all the time anymore. I know it was one of the things they used to have. The vet used to actually have a judge all the time. That like they had an actual courtroom in there. I mean, expedited the process. And to
They
be
do have a
fair,
holding in MetLife Stadium. They do have a holding area, but that's not because of the Giants. That's because Jets fans are the worst people on earth.
I can agree with that. Evie Fresh would like to know, who do you think is the biggest face and biggest heel of the LFF?
Biggest face, obviously, Evie Fresh.
The polls
Biggest heel.
disagree.
Biggest heel. I don't want to say myself because I am genuinely mean to a lot of people in the community. And I don't want to toot my own horn for being an asshole.
Okay.
Big Match Pete is doing a really good job at being a heel right now. Calais is always a good heel. Booker isn't a heel. He also doesn't believe in heels. He also doesn't believe in faces.
I was just about to bring that up. His post about no heels, no faces.
It's a very heel move of him, though.
Yeah, Booker is 100% a heel, and he is very good at it, to the extent where he just makes people believe he's not a heel.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a different level because he can troll in a whole different category than everyone else trolls in.
You know what? I'm actually gonna give heel to Chris Pate. Actually, not because of gimmick wise or card fave wise, but he is so determined to be the best player in this game that it actually exudes like being a heel. Like it's almost like he's like a Roman Reigns-esque heel right now, as in like he wants to be the head of the table.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
I give that. I'll give him that. And it's not like saying like, oh, he's a bad guy. No, Chris Pate's one of the best people in this community. But I mean, like he wants to be at the top so bad that it comes off as negative, but in a good way.
But you get Eddie's so good at it that you get people who have the top title in the LFF who might not he might skip local events because he's afraid of having to defend his title.
Right, John P. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the Matty Bar 1 would like to know, who copies more, Schmidt or Xerox machine?
Schmidt, hands down.
That's fair.
Not even a question. Don't even have to skip a beat on that. Schmidt.
Fair. There's not really many Xerox machines out there anymore.
I have 2 Xerox machines at my job.
I mean,
they do not copy as much as Schmidt.
I have one like right over there, but it's actually a printer, not a copier. So it doesn't really copy at all. But, you know, they're not as common name brand anymore. All right. So Evil Ed would like to know, who would you like to play in person in SRG?
Obviously, that would be that I haven't yet, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Would I like to play in person that I haven't yet?
Or it could be somebody. I mean, you know, this was really the first live event.
Yeah.
If you think back, Grand Gathering was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's absolutely fair to, you know, yet or again.
Yeah. Well, I do love playing against Schmidt live, especially like at Highlander when we start our locals up again. I love playing against Schmidt just because we know each other so well that it's always a good match. Yeah. Person that I have not played against before that I would love to. I would love to play against Booker, and I would, Booker. I was going to say Kirk Boca, but he stomped me out in top 16 at recess, so that already happened. Would love to play against Booker. Would love to play against Chris. I haven't played Chris Pate ever in person. Would love to play against Chris. And I love playing against the boss and Calais. I love playing against the two of them.
Have you ever played Leo Law?
Leo Law? No, have not.
The first match I ever played in Super Show at an event was at a Rust Belt, and he commentated like our entire match. So it's great. If
incredible.
You play him and it's just bam, bam, bam. He plays it just like he commentates it. It's perfect.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to play against someone that's vocal while you play.
Yeah.
I don't like people that like just sit there and don't say a word and they just say, hip toss. Okay. And then they just go back to rolling. Like it's boring. You gotta it's like you gotta make the game competitive, but you also have to remember it's wrestling.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it is solely a wrestling game. It's not a card game. It's a wrestling game.
Yeah. I mean, and if you roll bad a couple times in a row, you can pick your opponent up and slam them through a table.
Absolutely.
Perfectly legal, I think.
Might happen at Highlander on June 5th. Who knows?
Yeah, I've checked the rule book, and it does not say that's illegal. So, and if it's probably Young Allergy probably forgot to put it in there, but
The worst proofreader of all time.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that not everyone takes his advice, because the guy proofreads faction chats better than some cards. So Evie Fresh would also like to know, what is your favorite board game?
My favorite board game is Kingdom Death. Kingdom Death is not for everybody. It is very graphic. It is very violent. It is very, very expensive. If Butters is in the Twitch, he'll tell you he's also a Kingdom Death fan. I've spent way too much money on that game. I don't regret it, but I've definitely spent more than I should have.
Is it just the initial buy-in, or is it expansion packs?
Both. The initial buy-in for Kingdom Death is $400.
Wow.
You have to build all the miniatures yourself, unpainted. Then each expansion is at like the cheapest expansion is about $65, and I think there's 13 of them, with the most expensive one being $140, and I have all but one of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bit of an investment. I'm not that good at math, but that's a big number.
Yeah.
I think it's like 2 AJ Styles.
Yeah.
About
Other than board games, what would you say is your biggest vice?
other than board games.
Where do you spend your time? Where do you spend your money?
I do collect a lot of kendamas. I don't even have do I have a kendama with me? Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? I collect too many of these. I'm probably gonna have. Yeah, you saw me. I was playing it outside of recess. Yeah.
Yeah. So explain it.
It's basically ball in a cup. There you
Just with a very fancy cup. One's that's a little stick.
I love this because it's very therapeutic, and I ended up starting to collect them. That was a bad idea.
It's like fidgets for adults.
Bingo.
Okay.
More like a yo-yo.
And I imagine you have to be a specific type of personality, because I'm pretty sure I'd throw one out a fucking window.
Patience. Patience.
I do not have patience for that. So that's what firearms are for, to shoot them when they don't work well.
If only I could own a firearm.
All right. So Matty Bar 1 would like to know your favorite event, wrestling or SRG, that we went to together.
Favorite wrestling event that we went to together would probably be, it was me, him, my friends, and our friends Ethan and Steve, and it was ICW No Holds Barred back in November, and it was my friend Ethan's first ever wrestling show, and it also happened to be a deathmatch show.
Okay.
And he was blown away, and now he's one of the biggest fans of deathmatch wrestling in general now, just because of that event. Like, we got there and he's like, where are the ropes? I'm like, those are the ropes. He's like, oh, those are chains. I'm like, yeah, that's what's going to happen tonight, dude. he's like, holy shit. Yeah. And he had a grand old time.
Yeah, deathmatch wrestling, it's not for everyone. I'm not a huge deathmatch fan myself, mostly because I'm not big into the real life gore. But there is a certain showmanship to it over like normal wrestling. And all wrestlers put their bodies on the line, but with deathmatch, it's just insane.
I feel that there's a lot more camaraderie amongst the locker rooms in deathmatch wrestling than there are in not deathmatch wrestling. I think everyone has each other's backs more in deathmatch rather than people trying to steal the show from each other.
I would agree, because none of the big companies are really looking to sign the deathmatch wrestlers for what they do in death matches. So there's not that ultra competitive, like, well, let's screw
Right.
this guy over to get ahead type mentality that you'll find in the other shows.
We have one deathmatch wrestler coming to the LFF. Well, technically two. One recently passed away, but we still have one still living. My Lord God, Effie, cannot wait.
Yeah.
Love
Effie's
Effie
going to be
to
fun.
death. Love Effie.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely are going to need a deathmatch stipulation in the LFF at some point.
I'm working on it as we speak.
All right.
You could combine it with celebrity deathmatch. That would be amazing.
I would love to do something like that in the LFF.
Little claymation.
Yeah, I actually messaged the boss about it today. I'm working on making a deathmatch stipulation that I want to have it like finished and perfected by June 5th, just so we can stream a match with it.
Okay.
And it's gonna there's gonna be a lot of cards involved in it. It's not just gonna be the stipulation deck. There's gonna be like other cards to go with it to add to your finishers. It's gonna be a lot of fun if it works.
All right, it'll be cool. I mean, see, now that's the kind of match you would like to debut, like in a grudge match. Like I know there's that grudge match of Nightmare King and Angela versus Butters. Throw Butters into a death match. I'm sure he would love it.
He would absolutely hate it because Butters, I have this quoted from Butters. I actually think I took a screenshot of it. Butters said that if deathmatch ever comes to the Super Show, that he would quit. So let's get deathmatch into Super Show so we don't have to deal with Butters anymore.
Oh man, that'd be
Butters.
Yeah, he's definitely not the best troll in the LFF. All right, so Matty Bar, what your opinion? David Arquette and SRG, yes or no?
From a business perspective, absolutely. From a wrestling fan perspective, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
David Arquette's the greatest WCW champion of all time. We all know this.
I just started watching that documentary on a plane last week. I've got to finish it, but
Nice.
his document, that's a very good documentary. Arquette, it's amazing when you think, like, here he is. He's a guy who's a wrestling fan who let's not lie. Anyone who's a wrestling fan who said, "Hey, you get to become WCW champion," they're all going to say yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, and he was so vilified for that. But then he went around and learned how to wrestle and became a wrestler.
He did the work.
Yeah.
So you can't hate him for it.
Yeah, like, it's so much respect for that. It is probably one of my favorite documentaries in wrestling, next to Gifted, the one about Sick Nick Mondo.
Yes.
The one about Sick Nick Mondo is amazing.
Also, Sick Nick Mondo is actually getting put into the Deathmatch Hall of Fame.
He should be.
So, speaking of documentary types, have you been keeping up on Vice's Dark Side of the Ring?
The only one I watched recently was I watched the Pillman one because I love Brian Pillman, and I watched the Nick Gage one because Nick Gage is the best.
Yeah.
But I don't have Vice, so I have not been keeping up with it.
Okay, it's good stuff.
Yeah. I've watched like older episodes just this season. I have not been keeping up.
Yeah, I have Vice, so I've been watching it. That and now Dark Side of Football.
Yeah,
pretty good too.
I did watch the Ocho Cinco episode, and that was outstanding.
Yes.
Ooh, I didn't see that one.
And they did Belichick one too, which is
really?
Really good. Yeah. So Ken Fouché would like to know: does your deathmatch stip draw from Michael Bailey's fans bring the weapons stip?
100%. I'm basically working off of that stip and trying to perfect it. Is basically what I'm doing.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Because I do love the fans bring the weapon stip. It's very, very good. I just think, like, nothing against Michael Bailey. I love Michael Bailey. I really hope one day me and Michael Bailey are a tag team in the LFF. That's my dream. But I want to make that stip as perfect as possible. And that's what the deathmatch stip will be.
All right, makes sense. All right, so we got about 30 minutes left in the show. So if people want to know, I'll remind people in Zoom, you can use the hands up feature and we can ask questions through that way and we'll call on you. And on Twitch, if you've got questions come up. Proceed, you have a couple questions while we wait. Oh, wait, never mind. A hand just popped up. We have a question coming from the Nightmare King.
What's going on there, True Survival?
What's up, Mike?
Not much. I heard what you had to say about TJP. He was the one who did a cameo for me because of the boss. But
Nice.
anyways, besides that part, I got something very, very good to ask you. If you were in WWE and everything else, and you going after a tag team title, can be from NXT, Raw, or SmackDown, who would you?
Well, looks like we're having audio issues, but I can finish that question.
Who would my tag team partner be?
Who would your tag team partner be?
And which brand would you
which
go
of
with?
the titles
Yeah.
would you go after?
Tag team partner would.
My phone was lagging, but yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So tag team partner, more than likely would be Aleister Black,
Ooh, that's a good one.
and I would probably go after the NXT titles because I wouldn't want to be on SmackDown or Raw. Not enough creative freedom on either of those shows.
Yeah,
Okay.
Aleister Black caused Mallory some trauma. We nearly lost her in the New Jersey airport because we saw, she'll tell you that anybody this story. My mom nearly left me in the New Jersey airport in Newark because he and his wife were coming back from their honeymoon. And Keith, sees this heavily tattooed guy. So it's Mallory walking, me, and then Keith.
Yeah.
And he stops me. He's like, "That's Aleister Black." And I stop and I look and I was like, "Yeah, it is." And since he was with Zelina Vega, we weren't going to do anything. Well, we forgot Mallory was still in front of us and kept walking. She gets like to the middle of the terminal and she just freaks out because we're gone. Now she wasn't within sight, but according to her, we completely abandoned her.
I mean, abandoning someone for Zelina Vega is, I think, A-okay.
Yeah. Also abandoning someone for Aleister Black is A-okay as well.
Probably,
That being said, Aleister Black
combination of the two.
Aleister Black is another one that has a name that does not fit his persona whatsoever because his full name is Thomas Bujin. So I think Aleister Black is a really, really good pickup. Tommy End was also a really good.
So we got Matt Barone jumping in on screen.
What's up, neighbor? Technically, Matt's my neighbor right now because I'm at my parents' house.
I didn't mean to jump on stream with you guys. I just joined a Zoom room.
Yeah,
that's fine. Welcome to the party.
yeah.
There's honestly a lot of guys, but in this game, if you could redo yourself as a completely different person, what kind of persona would you do? Like, would you if you could erase True Survivor and start a whole new thing?
All right, I would probably just do like a pure deathmatch wrestler, honestly, which is what I plan on doing. I was talking to Jeff about it before the stream even started, and I want to do it. I want to do a complete flip of the True Survivor name wise, like name it like the false victim. Make it the complete opposite and just make it the most violent competitor of all time. Every single finisher will have, if this is stopped, you lose by disqualification. Have it have the most ridiculous stats, like have the strike finish be like almost like Atticus Kogar with the spikes, just jabbing it into someone's forehead.
Nice.
Stuff like that, which is what I really want to do one day.
So how did True Survivor come about?
Oh boy, here we go. This is it. So
yeah, that was a fun night.
Here it is. Impact event. What was it, 3 years ago?
I want to say, about 3 years ago. We started off at that bar across the street?
Random bar across, some random. So we had the event going on at the bar across the street.
Okay.
I got blackout drunk because it was
also $5 pitchers.
Yeah, it was $5 pitchers. It was their fault, not my fault.
Understandable.
$5 pitchers. I got blackout drunk before we even get to the Impact event. Impact event, they seat us literally I remember for a fact I was sitting right next to Bambata. Then they literally put us directly behind the commentators. I'm like, wow, this is a terrible idea. I'm yelling and jeering every single wrestler that walks out of that tunnel nonstop to the point that I was louder than the commentators. Apparently, no one could hear the commentators. They could only hear me.
Yeah. And they came over, I was I want to say 3 matches in, they came over and like, hey, you need to calm down, blah, blah. I'm like, all right. Like Anthony wasn't really listening to them, but he listened to me like, hey, you need to calm it down. Just, relax a bit.
Yeah.
And the match after that, he kind of calmed down for a little bit and it was good until Ace Austin and TJ Perkins.
Ace Austin, my 2 least favorite wrestlers in the world.
And that's when it just all went downhill. And Tommy Dreamer came over and started talking to him and pulled him aside. And I'm like, and then Tommy Dreamer came over, pulled him aside. Then more security came over and pulled him aside. And I'm like, all right, we're all gonna get kicked out, arrested.
It was funny though, because like I honestly do remember talking to Tommy Dreamer, and he was extremely calm and collected about everything that was going on. And then the actual security showed up, and that's when it got like ruined, essentially. But that event happened. I apologized to everybody about it. And then
did you get bounced?
Huh?
Yeah, we all
Did you get bounced?
I was out. I was kicked out immediately. Like I got kicked out of the show, and I woke up in bed. I was like, oh, what happened? So
I've been there.
Yeah. So I apologized to everyone about it. And then that's why if you look at my entrance card, which is the first iteration of True Survivor,
sure,
the little subtype of my entrance, if I can, I'm going to bring it up because I'm pretty sure it says Rowdy Ringside Fan or something like that.
Hold on. I have a copy right around. Where is it? Somewhere. There it is. Front row fan.
Front row fan.
Front row fan.
It was supposed to say something like, it was like supposed to say like belligerent fan or something like that. But we ended axing that. But obviously, that picture isn't from that event. That picture's from me at like a retro dance party, hence why I'm wearing this like sick 80s Adidas tracksuit. But that's where that originated from. Then after that, my character came about after I raffled off an AJ Styles. I was like, listen, I don't need this. I just want to be in the game. Raffled off the AJ.
It wasn't the first one you ever bought, was it?
No.
Okay.
I sold that one a while ago. One of the AJ Styles so I sold my original AJ Styles a long time ago.
Okay.
Won an AJ Styles in a raffle, then raffled that AJ Styles to get myself made in the game.
Now, just a question. Did you keep your AJ Styles all in top loaders?
No, I'm not an idiot.
Okay. Just making sure, because I know some people get kicked out of our store for that.
Yeah, no, right? Idiots. But then I created my character based on like my love for like I love listening to like retro wave, synthwave music. Mm-hmm. Hence my original picture of me being at an 80s retro party. So fun fact, the original finish for the retro wave was supposed to be called Claw is the Law. And it was supposed to be me chugging a White Claw while doing that submission on John Pate. Hence why there's a giant claw grasping his head. But then I permanently stopped drinking right before my character went into print. And I said, Steve, we got to change this. Like, I don't want it there anymore, just because, like, I know it fits the card, but I didn't want to be reminded of my past, essentially. So that's why it's the retro wave and it's me chugging a tab. Got it changed as fast as possible. And it worked.
Okay. No, I like it. I've always wondered. Mallory is a big fan of the True Survivor entrance card. So when I heard we were going to have you as a guest, I was like, perfect. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Yep. And the whole thing with the +2 to turn roll thing, there was never anything in the game that gave you that extra oomph for breakout rolls entrance wise yet. And then when I was creating the character, I wanted to do something where like my gimmick was the opposite of the entrance, but obviously we didn't go through with that because I didn't think it was going to be that great. Because it's like, oh, like if someone runs the entrance and then I have that gimmick, it's X. Like your entrance is blank and my gimmick is blank. It was basically pointless. So the original text was supposed to be, if you roll an 8, I draw a card. If you roll a 7, you bury a card. That ended up being too powerful because Steve basically gave me the option. You can either have a subpar gimmick and fantastic finishers, or subpar finishers or a fantastic gimmick. And I feel that if you're playing a character and you switch out their finishers for generic finishers, your character isn't that great. So I opted for fantastic finishers over fantastic gimmick. And I personally think that the Retro Wave is one of the best finishers in the game. Because number one, it gives you 2 10s, and then flip 2, shuffle 2, draw 2 is just stupid.
Yeah,
and out, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye, Matt. See you in a week.
Yeah, see ya.
And I think that a lot of people, see that gimmick and try to ride that instead of managing the game and playing to the strengths that are their finishers. So
exactly.
I think that's a good choice.
And you could ride the True Survivors gimmick. Like there's so many cards that go like -2, like pick a stat. Your opponent's stat is -2, and then it's like, oh, whatever their 10 is, make it -2, and then you have 2 8s that they can hit, like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But even the way that I play my character off of the finishers rather than the gimmick.
Right.
The gimmick is just like, oh, you rolled an 8, sweet. There's advantage or disadvantage for you. But my whole thing is like, there's nothing better than running Champion of Kickstarter with True Survivor and then flipping your finish strike right at the beginning of the game. There's nothing better. And just having it sit there and then flipping cards off the top of your deck until you can recur the finish strike with your finish grapple. There's nothing better.
Now, do you think that if that happens in just a few turns, that would lead, obviously you say nothing better, but would that lead to a negative play experience for somebody else?
In a way, yes, but that's just the competitive nature of the game rather than like the game being like, obviously the game's going to be fun, but anytime you get hyper competitive, there's going to be some sort of negative play experience for someone if you're playing against someone that also isn't hyper competitive.
Right.
Like that's like how I said earlier with Chris Pate being a heel in the game. He's not necessarily a heel. He's hyper competitive. And a lot of people that play this game aren't hyper competitive. And when you get matched up against someone that's crazy competitive and wants to win all the time, no matter what, you're going to have a negative play experience. It's just how it is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like if you're playing Magic and you're playing Commander and you just bought a new Commander deck and you're taking it out of the box for the first time and you sit with 3 other people and then someone breaks out like a $10,000 Commander deck. You're not going to have a good time. It's just how it is.
So what we're saying is, my takeaway is Chris Pate is equal to a $10,000 Commander deck.
No. Mm-mm. No.
It's just the nature of the beast.
Okay. I thought we were giving him some credit there for being a $10,000 Commander deck.
He's not a $10,000 Commander deck. In his mind, he is. But obviously in this game, you're only as expensive as the cards that you pay for. And luckily, there's no rarity in this game. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Except for like out-of-print competitors. And that being said, the out-of-print competitors, there are competitors in this game that just got made that are better than any out-of-print competitor. And I'm going to shout one out right now.
All right.
And hold on, I gotta find it. Hold on, because I was looking, and because since I'm starting to play again more often, I want to start building.
That was something too, is that, you had mentioned in a post that, you had kind of hung
Retired.
up the Super Show.
Yeah.
And playing at Rust Belt really got you reinvigorated. And so are you going to continue playing? I'm
100% going to continue playing again. The reason why I stopped playing is because I was just not having a good time playing online. Like playing online for me during COVID was in itself a negative play experience for me, mainly because I cannot focus well while playing online. If I'm sitting across from someone and I see the cards they're playing right in front of me, I'm good. playing online, having to focus on on like what's on my screen, then focus on what's in front of me, and then back and forth. I cannot focus like that. So playing online during COVID was awful for me. Not saying like, not using it as an excuse, saying I played bad, but just the experience of playing online, I just couldn't do it. And
I don't think you're alone there. I know plenty of people who, you know, they just weren't happy with it. Some people I know wouldn't even give it a try. You know, they're like, it's just not for me. I'll play other stuff until, you know, we get live again. And we saw them at Rust Belt. So that was
exactly. And I'm not going to be like hyper competitive in the game. Like I'll play in events, but it's not like I'm going to go out and buy every single competitor and buy, like if new cards come out and I'm like, oh, I can use that in so-and-so's deck. Sweet. Like what I have my True Survivor deck. And then I have 6 decks, 1 for every 10 attribute. And then I have a trios deck and a tornado deck.
Who are you playing in trios?
Trios, the Elite.
Okay.
Yeah. What about Tornado?
Tornado, I have the Sawyer brothers.
All right. Solid choice for Tornado. Solid choice. So, Cannoli hasn't stopped by. He's probably working, but so we should ask his question that he'll check the stream for. So, who are your 3 favorite male wrestlers and 3 favorite female wrestlers of all time?
Favorite. So, just going off of personal preference, not who I think is the best.
Correct.
Because that's 2 different lists.
Yes.
My favorite wrestler, male wrestler of all time is and will always be Stone Cold Steve Austin because he's the reason why I got into wrestling. AJ Styles, probably number 2, just because I was a huge fan of that Bullet Club era.
Okay.
That being said, the Firing Squad's corny.
Well, I'm gonna get another hate mail.
Whatever. Third favorite would probably be. Oh, God. Screw it, Nick Gage.
All right.
Female wrestler wise, overall, I think Charlotte Flair is the best female wrestler of all time, so I'll just put her at number 1 for that reason alone.
Okay.
Lita for doing things that not all the girls wanted to do, and I'll honestly put Chyna up on that list too for being the first ever female Intercontinental Champion.
I can back that.
Yeah, it's a solid list. Chyna was absolutely amazing.
I love Chyna. Always will.
Yeah, very underappreciated.
Also, to backtrack really quick, when I was saying like there's competitors out now that are better than any of the out of print competitors. Funny thing, this competitor is actually part of the Firing Squad. And I'm sorry you're really corny, but your gimmick is probably my favorite gimmick in the game, and that is hands down Swaggy D. I think it is the most under the radar competitor in the game right now.
Swaggy D is very good. He's very good. His gimmick is very bad for its opponent.
Yeah, incredible gimmick.
Yeah.
Now, Firing Squad, is that the boys out of Pittsburgh?
Most of them.
I don't even know where they're from. I just call them Boneless Bullet Club because that's all they are.
Yeah, so Firing Squad, Tim Kreiser, Tim Riley, and Michael Kerr from out there. But it's also the Norsemen, Swaggy D, and Brock Carson.
Gotcha.
Bautista from New Jersey and the 2 from the New England area. So they made, I'll give them credits. They made some really good signings. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'm going to say because generally when I finish that up, I end up with hate mail. So I'll just stop it there.
And I'll just continue to say that they're corny. But
yeah,
Swaggy,
to be fair, I will take them, their finger guns, their finger banging over impacts Because at least Firing Squad looks like they've actually used real firearms in their.
Oh, Impact's finger gun thing is the corniest thing in the world.
Yeah. You guys aren't
so
fans
corny.
of the pew pew pew.
Nah, not the way they do it.
Be an adult and buy a real gun and shoot someone. Like,
fair.
Emojis are corny. Come on.
Yeah.
That's the New Jersey coming out. I love it.
That being said, I heard earlier you said Newark. It's Nork. There's no EWA. It's NORK. Nork.
Yeah.
There's a Newark out here, and it's Newark. NERK.
Newark. NORK.
Yeah, because Newark is actually Delaware.
No. There's only one. We talked about this on the way to Ohio. There's only one good thing to come out of Delaware. Aubrey Plaza. Nothing else.
I mean, that is true. We did discuss that on the way, and that was the consensus. Yeah.
You guys had plenty of windshield time, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on other promotions other than Impact, WWE, say New Japan or AEW?
I enjoy AEW a lot. I like what they're doing with Impact. I don't think it'll last forever. I think it's a good way to cross promote both companies, and Impact is getting a lot more viewership because of the cross promotion.
Yeah.
I've always been a New Japan fan for a long, long time. Ever since the Bullet Club became the Bullet Club, I've been watching New Japan. New Japan's always outstanding. I don't like the fact that they don't have any female wrestlers on their roster, but that's just how it is over there. It'll never change. That's why they have Stardom,
Shimmer,
whatever. Can't change it. Ring of Honor is doing great right now. I love Ring of Honor mainly because I love Brody King.
Yeah. And
I love Tony Deppen. Tony Deppen, in my opinion, is the best wrestler out right now, and he's severely underappreciated. And I also love Homicide.
Yeah.
And
Deppen was a Wrestle Factory graduate, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. Keith and I are trying to figure out, they've got a pay-per-view in Baltimore coming up in July. We're like, I have some family out there. I might have to go out there for work.
Yeah. My favorite faction, I'm going to just call it a faction, is Violence Unlimited right now, because it's Brody King, Deppen, Homicide, and Chris Dickerson, who is another very, very, very underrated wrestler.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He's a very good wrestler. He did a lot of Beyond, too.
Yep.
For years.
Yeah, also Violence Unlimited. So good. Also so good is Brody King's band, God's Hate. Go listen to them. They're fantastic.
I was unaware he even had a band. I'll have to fire it up.
Oh yeah, it's heavy to say the least. He's the vocalist in the
band. So we got
I'm trying to think what another, like, the only other promotions that are really doing anything aside from that, like Beyond's barely doing anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually it's all the like the quote unquote outlaw mode show brands that are really doing anything right now.
Yeah, Camp Leapfrog. It's doing some stuff, but yeah, it's mostly all the smaller shows now are really, because I think most of these bigger ones don't want to actually pay to bring people in during the COVID era.
Yep. And like, listen, all these little indie brands are thriving right now, and it couldn't be better for them.
Yeah, and Jersey is one of the biggest hotbeds for it at the moment.
Yep, big time. We have so many wrestling schools. It's actually silly.
Yeah, because I think VXS was running to some shows there for a while too.
VXS does run a lot of shows in New Jersey. Mainly down in like the Vineland area, which is also where like ICW was doing all their outdoor shows over the summer.
Yeah. Because I believe not that long ago, VXS had Too Cold Scorpio in it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shot from the past there.
He was just in the
Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring, yeah.
I have a friend that wrestles for VXS, actually. It's a Cube.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Cube is a good friend of mine. He's actually in Florida right now at Universal, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah, I because I was watching that show because I believe that one show ended with him coming into the ring to challenge the person whose name I can't remember.
Yep.
And it was a really good wrestler. I don't know if it was Matt Cross or someone else later on, or Brian Cage. Because I know the show had Brian Cage and Matt Cross on it because I think they wrestled each other, and it's like, this is an amazing show. Like, and then Ken Broadway as well, I think, was on one of them recently too.
Ken Broadway is getting a lot of recognition in the little quote unquote outlaw mud show brands right now. It's pretty sick.
Yep, especially since
it was JTG.
Okay. Oh, right, JTG. Oh God, I forgot he was on the show. He
challenged JTG, and then he beat JTG
down
on Lucid Dreams in Tampa.
All right, yeah, I didn't see the Tampa show, but yeah. Okay, yeah, I forgot it was JTG. It was a really good show, though. They ran a good product.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a random off-the-wall wrestling question. Nick Aldis has held, 10 pounds of gold for forever, right?
Yeah.
Anybody, any brand, who would you like to see take that title off Nick Aldis?
I want to see like someone you don't expect, like honestly, like Tony Deppen. Honestly, I want someone to have the gold that actually deserves the gold. Like nothing against like Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis is a fantastic wrestler, but like Tony Deppen works harder than anybody in the business. He lives in Hershey and he drives out to Atlantic City on a whim for a GCW show. Like the guy deserves all the credit in the world, and he's one of the best. So there was a match. It was me and Barone were there too. That was actually, you know what? I'm going to backtrack a long time. Best wrestling moment at a wrestling show was with Matt Barone at, it was the last GCW show before quarantine happened. And there was one match. It was Tony Deppen against Effie. And it was a technical masterpiece of a wrestling match. No death match, nothing. Not a weapon was used in that match. And it was like a 20-minute match. If you can find it online, please watch it. 6 stars, 7 at the Tokyo Dome.
If Meltzer rated it at the Tokyo Dome, that would definitely be there.
All right, so we only have a few minutes left in the show. So before we go, Christy's standard question, we do have one last question from the Twitch chat, and it's actually a pretty important one, coming from Maddie Bar 1. Ohio or a gutter? Where would you rather live?
Ohio, 100% Ohio.
Yeah, see,
because there's 2 things that I love. So there's 2 things that I love in Ohio, and that's obviously Cedar Point, and I love the faction 440 more than I should, because they feud with MDK all the time, and RSP and Nick Gage hate each other, kayfabe wise, but I absolutely adore 440 as a wrestling faction, and I would live in Ohio just to represent them.
And next week when Matty Barr's on the show, we'll ask him the same question and see what his answer is.
Oh, he hates 440, so I already know what his answer is.
Yeah, but I love RSP. He comes to the same shows that Sammy puts on. Just love him.
Fun fact about RSP. Fun fact before we have to end the show. So back in August, literally the last night I ever drank was at a ICW show, and Matt was with me. And someone at that show decided to spit on Atticus Cogar in the middle of a pandemic. Horrendous. For some reason, the wrestling community decided to be like, I did it. There were posts on Facebook the next day of me at that show with my face circled saying, this is the guy that spit on Atticus Cogar. Don't let him back into any of your shows. I literally messaged Atticus and RSP and I go, listen, I know for a fact I didn't do this, but in the off chance that I did and I'm just an idiot, please accept this apology. I am so sorry. Word gets back to them and someone sends them the basically the VOD of the event. And obviously it wasn't me. It was literally the guy standing next to me in the picture that looks nothing like me. It was this scrawny ginger with like a long redhead beard. I'm like, all right, I don't understand how anyone thought it was me.
Winterbauer was with you?
I was like, all right. So I'm messaging RSP, and he posted about me on Twitter about the whole situation because people were posting the picture of me on Twitter, going like, oh, this is the guy, blah, 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 blah. And RSP goes on Twitter and tags me in it and goes, this isn't the guy. This guy has my respect forever. He apologized for something he didn't even do. And then like everyone started sharing it like, yo, this guy's the shit because like they're like, oh, he took the blame for something that he didn't do. Like what a like stand-up guy, blah, 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 blah. So ever since then, I've been a fan of 440 just because of that situation. And then I actually like met like ever since that situation happened, I actually like ran into RSP at the last H2O wrestling show that I went to, where he was wrestling there. He wrestled G Raver that night, and he was doing merch. And obviously, he couldn't tell it was me because I had the mask on. But I go up to him and I'm like, "Hey, remember when I spit on your boy, but it actually wasn't me?" And he's like, "Holy shit, that's you!" I'm like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Dude, thank you so much for like all the shit that you had to go through and crazy. Coming out on top of it." I'm like, "Yeah, man, like it's not a problem." Like he offered me like free merch. I'm like, "Dude, like I'll buy your shirt. Like I actually like you. Like don't give me anything for it. You need the money."
Yeah, I mean, you in this day and age, you could have been easily doxxed. You could have been ostracized from the wrestling community. It's ridiculous.
Yep. It actually it's actually to the point where like I'll be at a show and someone will be like, "Aren't you the guy that everyone said spit on Atticus?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And they're like, "Isn't it wild that like that happened?" I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't do anything." Like, was I a belligerent drunk that night? Absolutely. Yeah. But I would not like spitting on someone's the most disrespectful thing you can do.
I think so.
And I don't care how drunk I am or how drunk I was, I would never do that in 1,000 years. And that's how I knew it wasn't me.
So typically the way that we wrap up the show is, you know, the audience has been asking questions. Jeff and I have been asking you questions. So here's your chance to turn the tables on us. And what questions do you have for Jeff or I, or, you know, maybe someone out in the audience today?
So obvious question is, because I got to promote my own event, who's excited for a Summer Brawl at Highlander? Even if you're not going to be there, I want to know who's excited for it because it is going to be streamed.
I am.
Good.
I am. I'm definitely excited.
We're like, we're going to go. And then we found out it's the week before we move and we're like, we are not going. So apologies for the Overbees not being in attendance, but we've got a really good reason why not.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to do a few giveaways on stream for the people that aren't going to be there because we are doing crazy giveaways at the event raffle wise, but we'll have a few things for everyone that's not going to be there.
Yeah, my apologies. I got so wrapped up in your stories. I forgot to ask about your event. Normally, we're really on it about promoting it.
I mean, Dave Marusek's not in my PMs telling me to promote it, so I forget.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun event. I mean, there's going to be some big names going there. Yep. I mean, obviously, I believe Calais is supposed to show up and rescue them.
Calais will be there. Steve the boss will be there. I don't think Loudmouth will be there unless he can get off of work. We already discussed that.
The Candy family is going to go there, and we love the Candy family. I think, I don't know if it's going to be Brett Farias or I heard the Void might be taking his spot, which is kind of scary.
One of
them is going to show up. I can't really, no other like names really pop into my head of like big names that are going, but there's going to be a lot. So it's going to be fun.
Yep.
I'm very excited.
Like I said, none popping in my head. So Joseph Ritchie's going apparently too. He hasn't been around in a while. That's good to know.
What happens when you have a new baby?
Yeah, Evil Ed would go, but he's still on lockdown, unfortunately. Which is a shame because I think I believe Evil Ed was at the Rumble in 2020.
Yes, he was.
I believe that's the first time I ever saw him in person. Because he's one of those people that stands out.
Indeed. To
The
say the least.
first time I ever met Evil Ed, he told us that he was driving to Hawaii.
Well, you know, it's like the old Dead Milkmans about driving their car, the Camaro from Bahamas.
And one more question for both of you.
All right.
The Bahamas are islands.
Who is one person that you guys want on this show? Doesn't have to be from the LFF, but who's one person that the two of you would like to interview, I should say?
I mean, if I had to pick someone, it'd be Session Wolf Martina. It's not hard.
I have so many, like a slideshow of names just flowing through my head. I'm like, Hikaru Shida, or that might be a little difficult. I don't even know. That's a great question, Anthony. I'm stuck. Like the obvious names that stand out are Jericho, or I've got a friend who has a Canadian show, and Jericho, called into it, and it was just crazy phenomenal. He does crazy stuff like that all the time. But we're actually going to be at Double or Nothing this weekend. So
if you can book them for the show, then we'll pencil them in.
There you go. I'll see who we can book for the show.
I'll definitely bump them. I'll bump people for them. Pretty easy. I don't think anyone would be upset if they got bumped for Jericho or Session Wolf Martina.
No.
I would bump every single person on the show for Session Wolf Martina. I would bump Jericho for Session Wolf Martina.
Really?
Oh God, yeah.
You do love her. So.
So there's one where you can have a fun time with, and then there's the other guy whose wife goes to insurrection rallies. So I'm gonna stick with the lovely Irish Les. And it is definitely bands to grind on me. If you're her. Anyway, with that, we should probably end the show for this week. Thank you for coming on. It was a great show. And next week we will be having Maddie Bar 1 on as a guest.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We'll see if
guys. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks a lot. And we will catch you all next time. Later.
Yep.